Have you ever crossed paths with someone who seemed perfectly balanced on the surface? Someone soft-spoken, generous, and outwardly stable, and yet, when you walked away, something didn't sit right in your spirit? It wasn't anything they said directly. It wasn't anger or lies. In fact, they may have seemed unusually composed. But there was a quiet chill you couldn't explain. That unsettling feeling may not have been your imagination. According to the renowned Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, the greatest danger in a person often isn't loud or aggressive, it's quiet, charming, and hidden in plain view. It's not rage that should concern us, but something far more concealed, a complete disconnection from the darker aspects of the self. And because it doesn't look threatening, it slips past our defenses until it's too late. Jung didn't just study the mind, he studied the soul. He believed that every human being wears a kind of mask, a persona, the version of ourselves we present to the world. It's our polite smile, our professionalism, our social role. But beneath that mask is another world entirely, a realm of repressed emotions, primal instincts, and hidden truths. And in that hidden world lives something Jung called the shadow. The shadow isn't some demonic force. It's simply the part of ourselves we refuse to accept. Every time we were told, as children, to be good, be strong, don't be selfish, we began suppressing the parts of us that didn't fit those instructions. Maybe it was our sadness, maybe our anger, maybe our sense of pride or desire to stand out. So we buried it, believing we had to be someone else to be loved or accepted. But those buried parts don't disappear, they wait. They take on a life of their own in the dark, and they shape how we act when we're not paying attention. And that's where the real danger lies. Because the shadow isn't gone. It's just hidden, and the more we ignore it, the more power it has over us. The shadow isn't evil in itself, but it becomes dangerous when it's denied. It holds our envy, our jealousy, our shame, our longing, even our brilliance. These parts, when pushed into the unconscious, don't simply vanish. They start leaking out through cracks in our personality, often when we least expect it. Jung warned, what we refuse to make conscious will eventually control us as if it were destiny. We won't know we're doing it. We'll just feel confused, frustrated, or stuck again and again. Think of the person who constantly blames others but never sees their own role, or the friend who says they just want to help but always ends up controlling, or the one who appears so balanced but erupts in passive aggression, manipulation, or cold withdrawal. These aren't random flaws. They're often the shadow trying to find release. And when it's repressed for too long, it doesn't come out gently. It comes out sideways, in nightmares, strange fears, toxic relationships, self-sabotage. Jung believed the unconscious isn't just a container, it's alive. It transforms the things we push away. The more we suppress, the more distorted those parts become. They twist into symbols. They show up in dreams as monsters. They appear in real life as patterns we can't explain, patterns that leave us saying things like, "Why does this always happen to me?" But it's not fate. It's the shadow, knocking on the door, demanding to be seen. And this split between our public self and our hidden reality creates pressure. Over time, that pressure needs an outlet. It can show up as sudden emotional explosions, or in more subtle forms, a cruel joke, disguised as honesty, a kind gesture that carries a thread of guilt, a need to be admired that hides a fear of being ignored. These contradictions confuse people, even the person feeling them. But Jung saw through it all. He knew the source was the same, parts of ourselves that we tried to silence and failed. What's so striking is that these individuals often don't know what's wrong. They feel chronically unsatisfied, disconnected, or strangely burdened, without any clear cause. They might appear confident, composed, even spiritual on the outside, but inside, there is a war between the image they project and the truths they've buried. And when that gap grows too wide, It's only a matter of time before it demands to be addressed, or explodes in ways no one expected. The deeper problem emerges when the shadow hides behind the illusion of complete virtue. Jung was most alarmed, not by those who acknowledged their flaws, but by those who denied having any at all. The ones who saw themselves as entirely righteous, always kind, always moral, always on the side of light. These are the people who often do the most harm, not because they intend to, but because they genuinely believe they can. When someone wraps themselves in the identity of being a good person, they often lose the ability to self-reflect. Every action, no matter how manipulative or cold, is rebranded as they'll call it tough love or just being honest. But what they're really doing is avoiding a confrontation with their own inner contradictions. Jung understood that this kind of self-deception is a form of spiritual blindness. You see, moral superiority becomes a shield, not for others, for the self. It prevents the person from recognizing the darker motivations behind their behaviors. Control is justified as protection. Criticism is framed as care. Passive aggression is painted as concern. And behind all of it is the unconscious refusal to admit, I too am flawed. I too carry shadow. The more they resist this truth, the more their actions become distorted, even if their words sound compassionate. This denial is dangerous because it makes the person immune to feedback. You can't reason with someone who believes they're always right. And worse, they may continue harming others while believing they're helping. Jung warned us, the more tightly a person clings to an image of purity, the more likely it is that their shadow will express itself in hidden, often destructive ways. And here's the tragedy. They often don't know it's happening. They don't realize their relationships suffer, their friendships erode, or their family feels unsafe. Not because of external enemies, but because of the unchecked parts of themselves. The same parts they vowed never to admit existed. This is the subtle, creeping danger Jung wanted us to see. Not in the obviously toxic people, but in those who appear serene and saintly, yet never question their motives. It's not the light that blinds us. It's the refusal to acknowledge where the light casts a shadow. So what ties all of this together? What is the thread running through this seemingly calm surface that masks something far more volatile beneath? Carl Jung gave us an answer, and it's as unsettling as it is powerful. He said the most dangerous person isn't the one who carries darkness, but the one who refuses to see that they do, not because they're evil, but because they're blind to what lies within. When a person denies their capacity for cruelty, anger, or deception, those energies don't disappear. They simply go underground, where they fester, gather strength, and emerge in ways the person can't recognize or control. It's not darkness itself that makes someone unsafe. It's their denial of it. A person who has faced their shadow, who knows they're capable of harm, is often more careful, more humble, more aware. But the one who insists they are incapable of hurting anyone, they are the ones who often do the most damage, precisely because they're blind to the impact of their own behavior. They rationalize. They excuse, they leave a trail of confusion and pain, yet never stop to ask what role they play. Jung didn't see this as a mere psychological issue. He saw it as a spiritual crisis. When we pretend to be only light, we become divided against ourselves. And that division breeds suffering, not just for us, but for everyone around us. The refusal to integrate our full humanity, our anger, our ambition, our envy, our grief, turns us into hollow versions of ourselves. Versions that may look polished, but carry a storm underneath. So the next time someone tells you they're always kind, always forgiving, always right, pause. Not with judgment, but with discernment. Because what we deny in ourselves, we are most likely to project onto others, and what someone can't see in their own reflection might be the very thing they unconsciously act out in yours. Jung's message was clear. The path to wholeness isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about facing what we've tried to hide and learning to carry it with honesty, grace, and courage. That's not weakness. That's power. That's freedom.